You're watching News24 Live. I'm joined in studio for our bi-weekly chat with the guys from Wheels24 to chat all things motoring. Les Stevenson, the editor, and Sergio Davids, content producer. Gents, good afternoon. Thanks for coming
Hi,
in.
how's it been?
Texting and driving, we all do it. Well, I know I do it. Guilty as charged. You guys have a very interesting article here. Sergio, before you get onto the stats, Les, I don't know if you want to weigh in on this sort of scourge of texting and driving. I read recently that the fatalities are even worse than drinking and driving.
Yeah, it's certainly the figures. Look, texting and driving is just a really, really silly thing to do. It's dangerous. You can kill yourself very easily. Your eyes are off the road. It's just not worth it. Check your messages later. Advert over. Go search.
Sure. Look, telecommunications specialist AT&T recently conducted a survey regarding texting and driving. We've all seen many surveys like this, but what makes this really interesting is the fact that the 75% of their respondents admitted yes, they text and drive behind the wheel. They know the dangers of it, but they do it anyway. And that's really alarming. I mean, we know it's dangerous to do this, but we do it anyway. It coincides with a cool app they're going to be launching. It's called Drive Mode. Basically, you load it on your phone, and if you're moving more than 20 km an hour, it will put your phone on silent, basically, so that you can avoid that.
Now, are there certain countries that are, well, I mean, sort of the traffic officials that clamp down harder on this kind of a thing? I mean, South Africa, our drivers get away with a lot on the roads, so we probably don't have the best stats here. But what about abroad?
Sure, look, the US has tried its best to clamp down on this. I mean, their heavy fines, there's confiscation of phones. We tried to implement the same thing about a year ago, especially here in Cape Town with traffic officials walking around, taking your phone away if they spot you. I don't really know about logistics of that kind of campaign continuing, but it's definitely something we should maybe be clamping down on, especially in cities and high-risk areas.
Now, Sergio, you say we know it's wrong, but yet we all do it. You've got some stats for us here, or some
sure.
findings. Do you want to just read that out?
Sure, I'll just read out some of the more pertinent facts. Some of the reasons some of these respondents said as to why they text and drive. 28% said they're worried about missing out on something important if they don't check their phones right away. That's actually really important, because one of the findings by a guy named David Greenfield, he's a professor at the University of Connecticut. What he found is the reason we need to constantly be on our phones and text and drive consequently is that it's a bit of a dopamine injection. I can't not know what someone is texting me. I have to know, regardless of whether or not I'm in traffic. I must know what they said, so I'll click on my phone even if I'm putting other people's lives at risk. And that's quite hectic. Other stats include more than 25% believe that their driving performance is not affected by texting. And just as many people said they believe that others expect them to respond to text right away. So now, that's a bit of a weird one, because although they wrongly believe that they can multitask, i.e. look directly at their phone and away from traffic up ahead, they feel that somehow that they're responsible to the other person on the line to respond to them immediately, which is crazy.
Les, do you think perhaps further down the line we'll have technology that will we'll be able to avoid texting while we're driving? I guess voice activated kind of stuff.
I suppose the only thing you can do is to have some kind of a program on board that blanks out the signal. You're not going to stop people texting. It's very sad. You're not. Or any more than you're going to stop them. Hello, I'm driving home. It's just going to happen unless they can actually shut down the signal in a car by maybe putting a special lining in it. I don't know. But it's the only way you're going to stop people doing this. Well, that of course when you die, when you're doing it.
Yeah. Look, one of the things they're attempting to do is, I mentioned before, there's this app. It's called Drive Mode. Basically, you load it on your phone. It detects how fast you're going. So if you're going over 20 km, it puts your phone on silent. This is their way of trying to mitigate texting and driving. Look, there are shortcomings, obviously. You can override it. It's an optional app. If you know it's on, you can just simply switch it off. Maybe there's some sort of functionality they can do for parents, for instance, to put that on their children's phone if they're driving. But yeah, that coincides with their texting and driving. Hopefully it works.
Yeah.